With the holiday season fast approaching, it is hard to ignore that we know so little about the origins of these holidays that we enjoy celebrating. Not only do we know very little, but the majority of us also make no effort to learn, even though we have the wealth of information at our disposal, which will give us the insight into exactly how these holidays started. In order to truly understand the essence of the holidays, it is important that we know the struggles of the people who made it happen. Today, Purple Hippo is going to be looking at the origins of Thanksgiving. So make sure to stay tuned until the very end of the video. The story of Thanksgiving doesn't actually begin in America. It starts off with a journey from the Plymouth, England, who were looking to come to a new home in order to freely practice their faith. They set sail from England in hopes to reach the Hudson River. However, their journey would be far from pleasant, as half of the board members would die due to several reasons. The journey lasted nearly 70 days and led to half of the ship's population falling sick and dying. An outbreak of disease and exposure to the elements are some of the reasons why the pilgrims of the ship would die. Even once they had reached Massachusetts, it would take them roughly a month to leave the ship and come into the land. Settling into their New England home would take time for the pilgrims and eventually lead them to laying the groundwork for the first Thanksgiving in history. Soon after they would reach land, they were greeted by the Native Americans. The pilgrims who were now getting off the boat were actually malnourished, weak, and fairly sick. Therefore, it stands to reason that they were having a fairly hard time getting used to the land they were on, as they knew nothing about living off the land. This is where the local indigenous tribes came to their aid. Members of the Wampanoag tribe would teach these new migrants how to farm, fish, and distinguish between good and bad plants for them. If it wasn't for the Native Americans' help, it would be somewhat of a given that they would have died from starvation and sickness. Soon after, the pilgrims would be reaping their first harvest, after being taught how to farm from scratch. The natives have taught them well. Now it was time for the pilgrims to reap the fruits of their labor. They would have a huge feast where the pilgrims would invite the Wampanoag tribe and share their feast with the natives. This was a symbol of appreciation because, after all, this tribe made this all possible by how they imported their knowledge onto the pilgrims. However, an issue arises here, one of paramount significance to the general theme of Thanksgiving. The pilgrims didn't have turkey on their menu. In fact, they probably had duck and several minds of fish. The rest of the feast consisted of vegetables and crops that they had harvested under the Wampanoag guidance. How can it be that the first instant of Thanksgiving, which we have, doesn't have one of the main essence of the holiday we know? Well, soon after, the spirit of Thanksgiving would become evident throughout the country in various aspects. With the American Revolution going on, people were dealing with hardships of the war. For those who had recently migrated to America, dealing with war would have been extremely difficult and made for a fairly uncertain time in their lives. In 1789, George Washington would declare a day of thanks for the war ending and the U.S. Constitution's formation, which we know so well. In the coming years and decades, his successors would also instill a day of thanks annually during their presidencies. In the early 1800s, the South sense for one to assume that they were hunting turkey in the early 1600s. However, that wasn't the case. Experts acknowledge that they probably ate either duck or goose on the first Thanksgiving. Then why do we commonly eat turkey every year on Thanksgiving Day? Well, it's simple. First of all, tradition sticks. Even if they aren't entirely accurate, traditions are hard to change once they have existed for years. Second, turkey tastes great, so why would you not have it? Thanks for watching our entire video. We hope that you have learned a thing or two about the origins of Thanksgiving. We love it when you interact with us under our videos, so make sure you tell us what you are thankful for down in the comments section of this video. This year has certainly been challenging for all of us, but surely there is something which we can all be grateful for this year. Subscribe to Purple Hippo and ring that bell icon for more awesome videos. See you in the next video.